Hey everybody, this is Eric Mueller, the host of The Eric Mueller Show. Now you're tuned into the podcast that explores what makes any successful person's inner clock tick by unlocking the most impactful tools within their success portfolio. I'm joined today by Lise Janelle, a trailblazing growth accelerating coach known for her groundbreaking heart freedom method. Featured on CBC News and CTV's Canada AM, Dr. Janelle liberates clients from their subconscious barriers, which fosters rapid success in the process. Let's head on over to the interview. Lise, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Eric. Nice to connect with you and get a chance to chat.
Yeah, and all the way from Canada. So being, you're in Toronto, I'm in Minnesota. We're not, crazy far in terms of north to south. But Lise, it's great to have you on today to really talk about that expertise you have in what subconscious barriers are to success and how we can break free from those. But before we really dive deep into your entrepreneurial story, we want to know what makes up your success portfolio. So if you're new to this show, a really easy way to simplistically view this is to think of an investment portfolio. Maybe you have a 401k with work, maybe you have personal investments, whatever you're putting money into to hopefully grow over time to build towards financial goals is what we're looking for with that. Well, here on the Eric Mueller Show, I really want to discover how successful people like Lise invest in themselves and really build that foundation for their success. So Lise, start us off. What are some skills, traits, habits, or mindsets that make up your success portfolio?
Well, I think a lot of these things happen to a lot of people when there's a crisis. So in 1988, my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer and was given 9 months to live. That was 3 weeks before my sister's wedding. A week after my sister's wedding, my 21-year-old brother died in a car accident. And then within a month of this, my 8-year relationship to the man I thought I was going to marry ended. And it was like, ow, ow, ow.
Gosh, so much right in a row, right?
Yeah, it was like, wow. It was so painful that it sent me on a quest to understand how do you live life so that when these things happen, you don't go flat like a pancake. Because it's not if these things are going to happen, is when they happen, how do you use them not only to survive, but to thrive? So I've been heavily invested in self-development work ever since. At the same time, in 1989, so a year after this, I met Dr. Scott Walker, is a chiropractor who created a method called NET, neuro-emotional technique, which I love because I could have 10 patients with similar low back pain. 8 of them would get better, and 2 of them, no matter, the same treatment, wouldn't. And by using NET, I was able to find the emotions that was blocking the healing from the body. So, and at the same time, I met Dr. John DeMartini, who's also a chiropractor, but he taught me the power of gratitude. And I ended up combining those 2 methods together to create the Heart Freedom Method. And along the way, I studied as many people, Deepak Chopra, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Limpton, Lynn McTaggart. I've been on this path to discover what it takes to live an amazing life, but not only for myself, but also for my patients. And now since 2004, I've been a full-time coach because I realized that when people are happy, if they get sick, they don't stay sick as often, as long, and they don't get sick as often. And so it really inspired me. I love helping people get out of their aches and pains. It was fun. But what really juices me is when I can help someone live their full potential. And you're asking me what's in my bag of tricks. I was a competitive rower. I'm a Canadian champion, an Ontario champion, a Hanley champion. I climbed Kilimanjaro. I did La Haute in Switzerland. I just love jumping into life. I want to squeeze everything I can out of life. I have an analogy. It would be like you go to Rome and you went to Rome, you stayed in your bedroom, you ordered in and watched TV, and then went back home. If I was me, like I would go there and I would, sit at a little cafe, watch the people go by, have some amazing Italian food, go shopping for some nice shoes, and maybe go to the opera. Like I would squeeze everything, I could in the trip. And there are people who live life not trying anything. And like if you're a spiritual being coming on planet Earth and you stay home and trying to do nothing so you feel safe, you just go back home after. And what have you learned? How have you grown? And that's why I believe it's a lot better to jump into an adventure, even if it doesn't work out the way we thought it was going to happen. You learn so much. So next time you jump, you're so much wiser. You know so much more. So I think living life with gusto, with courage, with not putting our ego in the way of trying things, but going for it, like with the idea of learning as much as we can. Whether it works or doesn't work, it's all great because we learn something every time.
Yeah, and Lise, do you think that, is that due to personality traits, or is that due to external factors? I'm talking mainly in regard to people that maybe they're the ones that want to do more and want to be maybe a little more spontaneous or driven, but they have like a fear holding them back. Is that something, do you believe that is more innately present in these people, or is that kind of more of a environmental factor that happens over time where they kind of they get habitual, aspects that make them more fearful, and then it's just a feedback loop over time. They're less and less likely to do those things.
That's a good question. From working with thousands of people one-on-one, I started to see patterns, and I created this map. It's in my book, Conversation with the Heart, and I call stage one. Everybody can get into stage one. Not everybody gets into stage two. So stage one, I call the unconscious sleep infantile stage. Everybody goes through that stage. And if you're lucky, you transition to stage two, which is the awakened, mature, and conscious stage. What's the difference between one and two is that in stage one, you're driven by the way the world reacts to you. If something, and I always use my yin and yang, so those of you who are watching this and actually looking at the monitor, so I use my yin and yang all the time. So when something happens, when you're driven from the outside, and we are kind of tricked into this because right from the get-go, when you're born, love has to come from the outside. And if it doesn't come, you're going to die. So we get used to manipulating the outside world to give us what we want, what we need. And so when the world reacts the way we like, we feel like king of the world, queen of the world. It's amazing. I can have anything I want in life. But when people are too busy and they're not reacting to you the way you want, now you start creating story. What's wrong with me? I can't get what I want, and all of those things that happens. And so you're asking me about what kind of personality, and I believe that the more we are challenged, the stronger we are. And I have a corny story, and that's the perfect corny story. It's like one day a scientist is observing a butterfly coming out of a cocoon. It's a huge struggle. It takes hours and hours and hours. So to be nice to the butterfly, he cuts the cocoon open. But by doing this, the butterfly has nothing to struggle against. The wings are weak, can never fly, and it dies like that. So again, I created another analogy. So people in stage one, there are three types of boot camps. The first boot camp is, I call it the musical boot camp. You're born in a family, not too many challenges, not too hard. Problem is when you graduate from there, you're not equipped for life. Then there are people who are born into the athletic boot camp. So you have to win and lose, and so you get supported and challenged. You learn a lot, but still you create stories about your worth, because when it doesn't turn out your way, you still get, challenged. And then there are the people who are born in what I call the Navy SEAL boot camp. And if you survive Hell Week, you're a superhero. So what I find is that people who are born in boot camp 2 or 3, especially 3, usually they have less fears, they're stronger, they can face more things, and they usually want the challenges. They feel alive when these things happen. So I was born in a in a Navy SEAL boot camp. So the things I'm sharing with you, I didn't read them in a book. Sure I did, but I have lived them through. And that's what I get so excited when I can work with people who are driven, that have faced challenges in their life. And the only thing I need to do is let go of the story that something must have been wrong with me for having had these challenges. So the main difference between stage one is, in stage one, you are driven to run away from pain towards pleasure. You're trying to compensate for how inadequate you feel for having had the challenges. In stage two, you come from inspiration. In that place, and I really love this visual. This is when my clients come to see me, and I want them to really etch this in their consciousness, is that to be successful in life, you need to listen to your heart, and you need to organize your time to give your heart what it wants. And your heart wants you to know two things. The first thing your heart wants you to know is you're worthy of love, and to do whatever it takes to let go of the opposite belief. And the second thing your heart wants you to know, it wants you to admit your dreams and aspirations. And so this is the listening. Then the yang is about organizing your time to give your heart what it wants. If you do this, you're going to be super successful. Like, I just spent 4 days last week in a mastermind with some of the people there, are worth $100 million. And I can guarantee you, it's not because you have $100 million that you necessarily feel successful. You feel successful when what you're doing is coming from your heart, not from your head, not from your ego, not from your guts, your emotions, but when it comes from what you feel you were born to do here on planet Earth. And as you move forward in life from inspiration, using everything you got from your boot camp, then you can experience an amazing life. Then it becomes a game. So the game is, all right, and I like props. So imagine you're climbing a mountain and you know where you want to go. So on your way up the mountain, you're going to face support and challenges. So your job is to learn to use both sides to your benefit, to grow in wisdom. And as you move forward, you're going to see so there's a conscious way of living your life, but most people are not aware that 90 to 95% of what you do is actually pre-programmed in you. You think you're running the show, but you're not. And that's where my specialty comes into. So I help my clients to become clear what they want to create in their life. So, they have clarity on that. And as they move, they start feeling inner resistance. And there are 3 clues that you have a subconscious belief working against you. Number 1, you know what needs to be done, but you're not doing it. Famous procrastination. It's like, you know that if you picked up the phone right now to call this big client, your whole career life could change, but instead, you need to vacuum or clean the window or eat that bag of cookies. So it's not because you lack willpower. It's not because you're lazy. It's because subconsciously you have attached more pain than pleasure, more danger than safety to something you want consciously. And it's really hard to work against your subconscious mind, because relatively speaking, your conscious mind is the size of a football, and your subconscious mind that's there to keep you alive, the football field. So imagine the difference.
That's massive difference, yeah.
It's a massive difference, and your subconscious mind is not your enemy. It's just trying to keep you alive. And it's constantly associating a stimulus with a response. This is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. And so often we're not aware of it. And I have a great extreme example of that. I had an Olympic level skier. She came to see me because she had not placed in 2 years. So imagine a Canadian Olympic skier no money. If you're a Canadian athlete, you get no money in Canada as an athlete. It's horrible. So when you do this, like you really just like really dedicated and really focused because you want to be proud and win. So I tested her on I want to win doing my work that I do. And lo and behold, we went back to when she was 7 years old. She didn't want to win because when she was a little girl, she was already winning. And her brothers were not. So her mom was hiding her medals and her trophies, not to make her brothers feel bad. So now, as an athlete, as an adult, if you know about Pavlov's dog, the conditioned response, so the bell was ringing, and her teammate felt like siblings. So she didn't want to win, not to upset her teammates.
That's crazy.
So
I mean, at that level to think that way, yeah, that's wild.
It's like, but that's why it's such a good story, because she's an Olympic level. So obviously you want it, but you're not going to get it because it's too dangerous. Because we are social beings, and being, isolated and shunned out of our tribe is not safe. So we do all kinds of things. So clue number one is that procrastination. We don't do the things that needs to be done. Clue number two, you do it, but it feels like drudgery. You really have to use all your energy just to go to the gym. Oh my goodness, to put your shoes on and make your way there. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't want to do this. And once you're there, you're fine, but you have associated all kinds of story, your mom or your dad forcing you to go to school and do gym class, and you didn't want to do it. And now the Pavlovian bell rings, and instead of being 25 years old, 30 years old, you're the 10 years old that didn't want to go to the gym class. Clue number three, and that one really upset especially the driven people, because you're so driven. Often you've been through the boot camp of the Navy SEAL. You're driven. You want to make things happen. You do everything to the letter, but you always end up with the opposite results. Like somebody else gets the promotion. You make all these investments, but last minute you change your mind. You lose your money, or you swear you want this relationship to work out, but they never work out. So you always get the opposite result. So no matter if you're 1, 2, or 3, it's not because you were born under an unlucky star. It's not because you're not supposed to get what you want. It's just because subconsciously you have a belief holding you back. And that's why I created the heart freedom method, because in 10 to 15 minutes, you can get rid of one big block that's holding you back. And for sure, we have more than one block. But if you're sitting there and you have a big contract to write and you feel blocked, you have this inner resistance, you can do the heart freedom method, unblock yourself, and then write your page. So instead of taking you an hour to write something, now it takes you 15 minutes when you get rid of that resistance that's inside of you.
So we have the three clues that can tell us that subconscious beliefs are there and are working against us, not because the thoughts and the beliefs themselves are bad, but we just need to recognize and be aware that they're there, right? So we can combat them, Lise, if I'm understanding correctly. But you mentioned something that I don't want to forget to address, and that is we start off with the success portfolio. And really, we need to define at that point too, what is success? So you mentioned that, you briefly mentioned that there's, kind of what I grabbed from it was that there's a lot of different ways that people can define success because they're chasing different things and they have different priorities in their lives, what's important to them. So I'll ask you, what is success to you right now for yourself, and how has it maybe changed over time, or has it actually stayed the same for you throughout most of what you can remember?
Yeah, my definition of success is one who lives by the values of their heart. Success is someone who lives by the values of their heart. And since 1989, I wrote down a statement of purpose for my life, and every day of my life has been dedicated to making it happen. And I've just evolved from it. I haven't changed it. Like, in a nutshell, when I when I do my Extreme Freedom Weekend, I have a 2-day retreat where people spend the first day learning about how to transform any challenges into benefit. But the second day, we spend a whole day going inside and discovering, what's my purpose? Everybody has a different way they're going to accomplish their purpose, but in a nutshell, everybody's purpose is to bring the best out of themselves. So you need to be in connection and awareness with who you are. How do I bring the best out of myself? And often it's about using the boot camp, what you learn in the first part of your life, where you were constantly in reaction to the outside world. Mike Koenig's, I spent 3 days with him. Mike Koenig's go that like, oh, Lise, you described the cycle of insanity. I go, yeah, that's what happens. So when you want to be successful, you realize that everything that's happened to you, if you use it consciously, becomes an amazing way of connecting with your heart. And you know that you're living the perfect life when you would be willing to do everything all over again the same way, because you understand how important it was into grooming you so that you would be capable of bringing that essence out into the world.
Yeah, and Lee's really what's it's making me think of actually, an episode that I did with Wiley McGraw, in which he talked about basically it was all about fear and how to, it's like why are we afraid of certain things, or what holds people back in that way that can prevent them from, being able to somewhat what you described with the subconscious, challenges that you have with those thoughts and feelings, how you can push through those. And his advice really was that you kind of have to have someone there with you to help hold your hand through it, help kind of guide you, because you can become kind of so narrow focused and blinded through your own thought patterns that it's hard to break free of those all on your own. And obviously, some people probably can do it more easily than others. But what would you suggest, on that front? Do you think that it's necessary for, someone, they can obviously read the material that you've created and they can research, your methods and what you found to be successful with these subconscious feelings and thoughts. But do you think that they also need someone with them in the fight, or is that just more of a luxury, so to speak, than a necessity?
It depends at what level you want to play at. Like some people can go to the gym and they don't need a trainer. They'll go and do their workouts and they don't need anybody. But usually you don't go as far as if you go to the gym and you have a trainer that's pushing you beyond what you thought you could be capable. And I have a good story on that. I climbed Kilimanjaro. And when you climb Kilimanjaro, the last day is like, you look at this wall, it's a gigantic, ominous, dark wall at 3 a.m. in the morning. It's cold, it's windy, you have low oxygen, and you're looking at this. And because I was a competitive rower, I know about, using my energy, how much I have in the tank. And so I'm psyching myself up. So we start at 3 in the morning, and by 11 o'clock, we get to what I thought was the summit. When you get to what you think is the summit, it's called Gilsman's Point. And you still have an hour and a half. It's not steep anymore. It's almost like a walk in the park like this. But you still have an hour and a half to go this way, and then an hour and a half to come back. So that's 3 hours. And that's altitude, like, whew, my brain was fuzzy, and I'm standing there, and I know how much I have in the tank, and my guide was with me. And I tell him, I said, I don't know if I can make it there. And he goes, don't worry. I've taken a lot of clients down. I know how to. I said, I'm not sure if I'll have it. He said, don't worry. I'll take you down. And I'm going, okay. So seeing that he believed he could do it with me, that gave me power. I was also afraid because my brain was so foggy. I couldn't think clearly because of the lack of oxygen. And I'm thinking, do I have cerebral edema? Am I going to die like trying to do this thing? But he was making jokes with me. So I go, all right, I guess I'm not dying. So having someone who's been up and down the mountain before can take away your fears and can help to guide you. And then I'm standing there and I'm going, okay, why am I going to do this? So I asked him, like, why should I do this? He said, just think about how good the shower is going to be 2 days from now. And I'm going, yeah, I know the victory shower. It feels pretty good, but that's 2 days from now. And I'm feeling so bad right now. I don't think that's enough. So I stood there in my foggy brain and I decided, why am I going to do this? And I'm going to do this so I can tell a story that will inspire people. So I had a big enough why. So in life, we need a big enough why. And then if you can have a coach with you, someone who's been up and down the mountain, who's been where you want to go, that can guide you, can make a huge difference. I would not have made it to the top of camp. If I had been on my own, no way. I would not have made it. I would have been too scared. I was feeling too poorly. I didn't believe that I could do it. But with him, because he was calm, he was not in my paradox. You heard the old saying that Einstein said, you can never solve a paradox at the level it was created. You always have to be outside of it. So when you have someone who's not emotionally tied into your story, that can see where you are, that can guide you to go left, go right, go left, go right. I think if you have that plus a big enough why, something bigger than yourself, it will give you courage. When people ask me, do you think I can have this thing I want? And I go, as long as you're driven and as long as you have courage, I'll get you there. Because the rest, it's just about learning how to use what's there to get the results that you want.
Yeah, and Lise, you mentioned, if I'm remembering the year correctly, you said in 1986 is when you clearly defined your life's purpose. Is that correct?
1989.
1989. Okay, so 1989, you write down and clearly define that purpose of your life. Are you able to spell out exactly what you wrote to us right now? Are you able to just say, was it a sentence, a paragraph? What did you write?
I know it by heart, but Lise Janelle declared that my primary purpose in life is to bring the best of myself to inspire others to do the same. To do so, I follow and speak the truth in my heart. I am thankful for what is as it is, as I acknowledge the perfection in the universe. I'm a loving spouse, family member, friend, coach, teacher. I study the great teachings of this world. I write, I teach, I coach. I use the TV, radio, and print media. Back then, there was no internet, and by now it's changed, to inspire, to reach millions of people and inspire them to optimize their life potential, to reconnect them with their heart. I learn from every moment and person that I meet. I enjoy and rejoice in the process of life, and I am a genius for the way I learn, grow, and impact the world. By doing so, I raise my consciousness. I am successful, healthy, wealthy, and wise, experiencing a life full of thankfulness. So this is what guided me since 1989. And this is, do you know the movie The Secret and the book The Secret, with the people from the movie The Secret?
I think I have heard of that. Yeah, I think I have.
So anyway, they talk about the law of attraction, and I'm part of the group, actually. It's called the Transformational Leadership Council. So I was there when Rhonda Burns came and pitched the idea of creating this movie. So in July 2019, I was lucky enough to be on stage, and I got a kick out of this. I said, because of all these people who were in the movie, I said, I'm going to teach you the true law of attraction. So the law of attraction, as I see it, is challenge yourself, attract support, stay in your comfort zone, attract challenges. So you will never experience more support than challenge, more challenge than support. The only thing you can do is choose which form it's going to come. So if you challenge yourself to do what's good for your heart, you experience an amazing life. If you stay in your comfort zone, then you end up feeling miserable. And it seems that things don't work for you. So since 1989, I lived that statement of purpose. And for that reason, I ended up in the Transformational Leadership Council, and Jack Canfield is part of it. And Jack, he wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. They sold, and the Success Principle, they sold like 600 million books. And I was on stage in Bermuda, and I presented my heart freedom method, and he started using it with groups of 800 people. And the transformation that he sees when he uses the method with his groups, he says it's in a week of training, he says my method and another method, something else, are the two most enjoyed experience of the whole week. So he says it's the missing link he had been looking for in 50 years of doing transformational work. But if I had tried to connect with Jack Canfield, I would never have been able to. And this is why it's important right now. If you have a dream within your heart, if you know your what and your why, don't care about the how, just start. Challenge yourself and open your consciousness. And by doing this, it's going to lead you places you could have never imagined going. Like there's no way I could have imagined where I am today. I had no idea. I had no clue. I only knew the what and the why.
Yeah, and Lise, I liked that. I'm glad that you mentioned Jack Canfield because I'd written down to mention that, being the chicken noodle soup for the soul founder and CEO. And that quote really resonated with me, and that was on your website. And it was, of the thing that hit me was it said that people who have done a lot of work and have tried everything, like this is your missing link. And so it kind of resonated with me because I've done a lot of work. I mean, I'm very early in my career, some would say, in the entrepreneurial journey, but having done a lot of work in my mind, it's like you still can feel like, there are things that you don't know and that you're not aware of how to handle yet. And I think for me, having a healthy respect of that is good to know that, I'm not an expert of how to even navigate some of the challenges that are coming up. And so I appreciate you mentioning that. I did want to mention too that you're currently working on a new book. Is that right? Unstuck with Jack Canfield. And that's coming out this year, I think, right?
Yeah. Because of that, he asked me to write a book about it. So with him, so it's done. We just have to rejig some of the chapters together, and it's ready to go.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's awesome. And obviously, you have your other books, and just mention that to be able to say it. You will have those tagged on the show notes for this episode, and people can go in and buy them either on the Amazon link or if you offer them on your own website. But I really, as we get kind of towards the later half of this episode, Lise, I'm wondering, are we able to do the Heart Freedom Method live on the show right now? Are we able to walk through an example, maybe using me as the subject for 10 minutes to see it in action, or is that something that's maybe not possible in the current?
If you want, I can do it. And actually, I can do
Yeah,
it
I'm
with
in.
you, but I can do it with everybody who's listening.
Let's do that. That sounds great.
So right now, you and everybody else listening, if you're not driving, think about an area of your life where either you procrastinate or where you feel you're using more energy or you're getting the opposite results to what you want. So think about your life right now, any area of your life, relationship, health, finance, career. So take a moment to feel where you feel blocked. So just take a moment. All right. So now I want you to feel that feeling. So close your eyes, because if you close your eyes, so if you're driving, don't do this. Close your eyes, because when you close your eyes, you enter alpha and brain waves. So I want you in alpha, not in beta. So close your eyes and feel what it feels like when you're in that situation, that place where you feel blocked, and scan your body and feel where in your body right now you feel a sensation that wasn't there before. Become present with your body. What is the location of the sensation? What is the shape? What is the color? Is it light or dark? And what's the texture? We'll become present with the location, the shape, the color, the temperature, and the texture. Be one with it. What's the emotion in it? Is it fear, anger, depression, disgust, despair, hopelessness, sadness? Feel the emotion that's in there. All right, now I don't want you to think the answer. I want you to feel the answer. How old were you First time you felt this emotion, were you in the womb, at birth, 2 years old, 7, 10, 15, 20 old? Were you the first time you felt this way? Where are you? Are you inside or outside? Are you alone or someone is around you? Feel that moment. So look at that moment, explore that moment, that story. All right. If you were really small, very young, I want you to put the younger version on your lap. If you were older, sit knees to knees and look into your heart and just become present with the emotion you were feeling back then. Just with no judgment, just allow yourself to connect with the emotion that was. And now we're going to take it to the next level. Since you're worthy of love, what's the truth about the situation? If your own kid was going through the same situation or your best friend, well, how would you explain what's truly going on? Since you're worthy of love, what's the truth? Why is this happening? Take a moment to explore the truth. All right, now we're going to take it to the next level. Remember the butterfly in the cocoon story. Since you're worthy of love, why did you need this experience in your boot camp? How did it serve you? How did it drive you? What did you end up learning, doing that you would not have done otherwise? What would have been the drawbacks to you if this had not happened? So go find gratitude for it. So take a moment and go find the gratitude for it. All right, so sit with that younger version of you and go show that younger version of you the big picture. Go soothe your heart. See the perfection of having had this event in your life and see how at some level you chose this experience to guide you. Now, I want you to project yourself 20 years in the future. And you've succeeded with this thing that you felt blocked. You actually succeeded. Why would that successful 20 years older version of you, what would he or she tell you right now about the block you feel? Something very similar that you told to the younger version of you. So imagine yourself feel that the joy that you succeeded with that thing and listen to what the older version of you tells you right now about this block. All right. So now take a deep breath in through your nose, through your heart. And see how blessed you are to be you, to be learning and growing and evolving, and how you're living this adventure called life. Take that deep breath in through your nose, through your heart, and go back and check the location, the shape, the color, the temperature, and the texture. See if it's gone. Often it's all gone, but sometimes it just changes form. And then you just need to do this again. All right. So, Eric, you want to share what you were working on?
Yeah, Lise, that was cool. That actually did happen. I mean, and I wouldn't lie to you on there. I mean, that was I'll reveal the feeling I felt was in, kind of the pit of my stomach. I would describe it as kind of nervousness or anxiousness, restlessness. If I describe it, it's kind of circular, kind of like if you imagine, like, it's kind of ironic, but if you imagine like a stress ball, like, kind of just, not hard, not soft, but kind of in between. And yeah, that had dissipated by the end of that. That felt, I tried to sense it, and it was nothing there. Not that I maybe still felt a little restless, but not in that area of my body. So yeah, that was a pretty cool experience.
Isn't it? And yes, how long did it take? It takes 10 to 12 minutes to do a good one. And you can learn to use this. This is what I want to do. Is like, the book is going to come out, so people will learn how to do this. The only thing I ask is, if people want to do this professionally, that they get certified. I don't want people to go like, the reputation of the method depends on people, being really good at doing this. So I have a certification program where I teach people how to do this. And the beauty, if you do the certification, is you become masterful at doing it for yourself, and then you can become masterful for doing it with your clients or your family, your friends, and things like that. So it's something I love doing, and it doesn't have to be painful. And every time you do it, you feel better. I can guarantee you, every time you do the heart freedom method, at the end, you just feel better. And if you don't feel better, that's because you didn't see the big picture yet. You didn't manage to neutralize and understand why this had to happen for you. Because, is a baby worthy of love?
Most definitely, yeah.
Is in the throes of a terrible twos worthy of love? Is a teenager worthy of love? 20, at what point did we stop being worthy of love and having what you want in your life? At what point did it happen? It happened when you decided so. So hopefully you'll have the same drive to undo these beliefs you created about yourself, and you can do it. If you challenge yourself to do the work, you're going to experience happiness. If you go, I don't want to do these things, well, just creating yourself a lot of tension and resistance and, struggle for nothing.
Yeah, that's incredible, Lise. I can't thank you enough for coming on here and doing that, sharing the heart freedom method. I really enjoyed that. It kind of dawned on me as we were talking. I was like, I wonder if maybe just do it right now. Like, she mentioned it was only 10 to some minutes, and that was a really cool experience. Hopefully y'all listening enjoyed that too. Lise, if someone wants to learn more and reach out to you personally, is there a best way for them to do that, in addition to your websites that we'll tag into the show notes?
Yes. So if you want to learn how to, do this method well, there's an online program called Unleash Your Dream Life, where I teach people how to do it for all the different areas of life, for career, finance, health, love, and all these things. So it's fun. You get online courses, but then you also get group coaching calls twice a month, where you get to talk with me and, experience it and do all these things. So that's one thing you can do. And I have my book, Conversation with the Heart. I have one-on-one coaching with me, one-on-one coaching with my coaches. I have the amazing course that I give that I love doing is Extreme Freedom, where you spend 2 days just with yourself. It's a gift to give to yourself. The next one is May 4th and 5th, and you can do it online and in person. So it's live, you can interact. So I have, depending on how much drive you have and how dedicated you are to living a great life, I have all kinds of, possibilities for you. I would love to connect with people. I love doing this work.
Yeah, you can tell, you can see your face light up. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the passion that she has, and really, the drive that she has to be able to, like she shared with her purpose written down in 1989, which, if you have any Taylor Swift fans out there, that year resonates with you as well. But she's got that clear, defined purpose, and I know that's something I want to work on myself. So, man, Lise Janelle, thank you so much for coming on to talk about how to break free from those subconscious barriers, You're the founder of the Heart Freedom Method. We had a great time trying that today. We'll look forward to following your journey, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you so much, Eric. Good care, everyone.